Welcome, HBCU family, to our HBCU Roundtable with the cast of Alice. I go by the name of Kyle L. Jones, known as Kyle on the mic, a proud graduate of my HBCU, Bowie State University. And today we have a very special guest in the building, and also a lot of my friends from different HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, here to speak with the star of the movie, Alice. So right now, this movie is on the heels of Black History Month, and in the middle of Women's History Month, this movie is such a timely movie and happened at the perfect time. So help me welcome the one and only award-winning actress, singer, television personality, the one who plays Alice herself, Miss Keke Palmer. How you doing, sis?
You know, it's your girl. What's up?
Hey, Keke, how are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm so good. I love your energy, Kyle. I'm obviously so happy to be on the call with all you amazing HBCU students and representing for us all.
Yes, definitely representing. Before we start real quick, I just want to say, like, it's a full circle moment because we met when I was a little kid when you were doing Aquila and the B in LA, and I have the picture right here. This is us a long time ago, and look at us now. Everybody doing their thing.
That is incredible. Are you kidding me? I love that.
I was like, come on now, look at us now. But,
yes,
but look, you're doing your thing, and that's why we're here to talk to you today. So explain to us like this film, because I think it happened in like this perfect timing. And I think the film definitely touches on important things because the story of Alice, a lot of people now really are being held captive mentally and physically, and being ignorant to the rights and freedom, especially with these few years and everything coming to light. But explain to us, how did you get into this role, and how we're able to become this character, because Alice is a heavy character.
Yeah, she is a very intense journey, I'll say. But the thing that kind of I was excited about was the opportunity to go through those changes and still end up on the other side, encouraged, powerful, and with a strong sense of faith. I think that's the thing that I love the most about the script was, even though we're going to be talking about a time in history that's very sad, we're also going to be able to showcase the resilient nature of our community and people, and also be able to exemplify in a poetic sense, as far as the writing and the relationship between Alice and the character Frank, that yes, we are still being oppressed. No matter what area we're in, the systemic things we're fighting it's going to be years and years and years before all of those things are no longer, or something that's truly something in the past. However, if a character like Alice, who starts out in the beginning of the movie on a plantation and then entering, the reality that she's actually in the 1970s, if she can have that kind of experience, obviously like our ancestors, and still find a way to move forward and have faith, then I think we can stay active and figure out a way to make it through all the things we're dealing with today.
Yes, you speak about working with Frank, who is played by Common. Explain to us how it was working with him. How was the dynamic on set and just like building the characters and like doing the scenes together? Talk to us about that.
I think that Common's personality, or who Common is and what he represents as a brand, is something that we all know and love. But working with him, it really took that idea of him to the next level, because he is all of that and more. I mean, working with him was like one of the best experiences I've had. His love and pride and kind of just protection of Black women is a beautiful thing to experience and be around. He's very encouraging, and he was also such a safe space for me to be able to explore the emotions of a character like Alice, that, can be very trying mentally, but having him there with me, it just gave such a supportive feeling vibe. He's a very gracious actor and professional person to work with.
No, definitely, like a lot of representation. First of all, happy International Women's Day. First off, real quick. All right, we see all our ladies in here. And one thing I love, like before we were talking about our favorite scenes, and I love the representation of an African-American woman, especially the scene that really touched me, even as a man, was the transformation of Alice cutting off her twist into the fro of like a strong, free woman. And the representation from the Jet magazines to the Angela Davis. I said, look, when Alice started reading them books and saw that Jet magazine, how we always see on our grandparents' stool back in our grandparents' house.
Exactly.
Said, she about to shake the tables.
Okay.
But I love the representation of this, like the hair, this as a woman, like Alice definitely portrayed that part. And I think it was, like I said, perfect timing with all that being said.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, I think the representation of how as she went on her journey of knowledge, how it continued to kind of physically change her appearance and the way that she wanted to represent herself, like the freedom that she was learning about it gave her permission, but also the knowledge in what's the word I'm looking for? The knowledge and its partnership with her spirit being intact, even with everything she went through. I think it's really a beautiful thing to see how she started to just express that in her outwards look and appearance.
Definitely. And speaking about representation, we have a plethora amount of HBCU students who are here representing their HBCU. So let's go ahead and get this panel started with our first woman here today representing Charlotte University. We have Miss Nakaya Carter. Nakaya, come on down.
Thanks, Kyle. Hey, Keke. Hey, Queen. Hey. I am super thrilled to be here today and talk to you about this amazing film. And so I have a few questions for you. The first one is, what do you love most about the film, just in general?
I love the fact that we get to go to the 1970s. I love the transition from Alice being on the plantation to being in the 1970s and just seeing how she exists in that space. I think it's also just a fresh way to tell a story. And then I also love the fact that it's educational. It's talking about something in terms of the Black American history as it pertains to slavery that we didn't really, everybody doesn't know, you know what I mean? It's not something that's as common as knowledge as it should be.
It was definitely informative, and I enjoyed every bit of it. I also wanted to say, we are excited to meet Alice on the big screen. So if you could, introduce us to her, as she was your friend, what would you say about her?
Oh, that's such a good question. I would say that Alice is, oh my gosh, Alice is that girl that you want to know, you want to be around, because she is honest. She has a very honest spirit. She's very real in the moment. It doesn't get any realer than her. Everything that she says is very just spoken from a true place. And it's very easy to trust someone like that. So she's very trustworthy. She's also extremely loyal, and she's smart. She's so smart. Yeah. And she doesn't wear that, outwardly. She kind of just keeps it to herself. So she also has a very humble spirit to her. And she's kind of unassuming in a lot of ways, but when it's time to come out that bag, she comes out that bag, and she's definitely a ride or die.
Yeah.
And she puts the ride in ride or die. Do you understand?
She did. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Nakai, thank you for those questions. And yes, you said she was in her bag. And Keke Palmer, you've been in your bag throughout your whole career, and you secure a role. Like you said, closed mouths don't get fed, and you definitely manifest a lot of your roles. So a question I do have, you played a lot of roles and had a lot of bags in your career. So which one of your previous characters you played in your previous roles in acting would be friends with Alice? Who do you think?
Wow, who would be friends with Alice? That is such a good question. I think that most definitely Akila. Akila would be friends with Alice for sure.
We reading books and spelling and reading the dictionary.
Honey, they be sitting up there in the encyclopedia going up, enjoying their very best life, just being, intelligent. Okay, so yeah, I think Alice would love Akila, and Akila would love Alice.
All right, we love to hear that. But let's go ahead and move on to our next student right now. We have Cameron Markel Nolan from Morehouse College. Cameron, go ahead and ask your question, man.
Hey.
What's going on, Keke? Appreciate the transition, Kyle. Keke, I have two questions for you. You touched briefly on the soul searching that it took for you to become Alice. So would you say that you relate to her anyway? Are you similar? If so, can you explain on that?
Definitely. I think, coming from where I came from, I've always, even in my experience of racism, I've always had a sense of pride in being Black. The more that I learned about the history, the more I became so confident in the resilience of my people and my community. Even just when thinking about my ancestry, how they all came from the South, but obviously I grew up in Illinois. So they were kind of those kinds of people with the mentality where I'm getting the hell up out of here. Let me figure out how to find a better way. So I carry that energy with me. And I think I relate to Alice on the simple fact of just I know things are going to be wrong, but that doesn't mean I have to stop trying. That's very much my attitude. And I think, again, it just comes from the reality that only the strong survive. So the lineage that allowed me to exist could only involve women like Alice, because they thought to themselves, I'm going to continue to have children. I'm going to continue to exist in this world. No matter how hard it is, I'm going to find a way to have faith and live on to tomorrow. So that's the same energy I have in me. No matter what's going on around me, I'm not going to let anybody steal my joy.
I definitely follow that. You're talking about the South. I'm from Mississippi, so trust, I know what that looks like. And my second question for you, Keke, is what have you learned from Alice?
Oh man, I think what I learned from Alice was that I have a right to be happy no matter the circumstances, and that freedom is something that exists within me. I think, yes, we understand slavery on a physical level, but slavery is also very mental. The slavery that we endure when we have to see people like Trayvon Martin killed, Ahmaud Arbery killed, George Floyd, I mean, the names and the list goes on. Those are all public lynchings. The way that we have to watch it go on and on and on, the way that it's passed around on social media, the way that we continue to see constant disrespect of people not being sent to prison or getting justice being served. All of that stuff will weigh very heavy on your spirit, but it's meant to. And so if I have the understanding of individuals like Alice, if I'm able to see and remember and be reminded that my ancestors found a way to keep going, even when they were in an experience of existing on a plantation, like it's hard for us today, but it's like, can we really imagine what it would be like on a plantation? Could we really, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, we talk and we're mad about today, but it's like, let me know when you've actually gone through really what our ancestors went through. Mm-hmm. So when I think about it like that, it kind of just shut me up and make me just say, girl, stand in line and vote, figure out what you need to do, show up where you need to be, because girl, you don't even know, like the fact that our ancestors got us to this point is just shocking. It really just blows my mind. And that's why I have so much pride in being Black.
Yes. Black pride, HBCU pride. Keke, you preaching, all right?
I ain't lying, y'all. It's incredible what we've been able to do in this country when literally the country was built on holding us down.
Yes.
Can you like America's a success for that reason? So it's just like, whoa, and we still rocking.
We are still rocking. We are still rolling. Keke is out. Keke, Pastor Palmer now. Come on now. Pastor Palmer, can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen. All right, let's keep this conversation going because these questions are amazing. Up next, we have someone from my alma mater, Bowie State University, Miss Ariana Fobbs. Ariana, go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you, Cal. And yes, hi, Keke. I'm Ariana Fobbs. And my question for you is, what would you like the world to know about Alice that may not be readily understood?
That Alice is not a film that is, it really doesn't have any trauma porn. Obviously we have to understand that it's going to showcase some elements of slavery, but this is not a trauma porn film. This is a film about the future. It's a film about finding a way to show the expression of what we're experiencing today, which is that, yes, there will continuously be trials and tribulations, but that cannot be what stops you and holds you in apathy. You cannot let what you're up against make you become stagnant. And that's really the beauty of the film. The beauty of the film is to remind you of who our ancestors truly are and have always been, which are survivors. And that through that survival, they can still have love, they can still have friendship, and they can still have peace and justice.
Yes. Ariana, thank you so much for that question. Keke Palmer. Let freedom ring. All right, next person up here next, we have from Tuskegee University, we have Daniel Ryan. Daniel, come on and ask your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Kyle, for that introduction. And Keke, so very nice to meet you. Team Virgo all day.
Okay.
Yes. So my question is, does the film have main messages or key points, and what are they?
Yeah, I think it has a lot of different through lines. It has a lot. We could actually do a whole think piece on all the different things that we can pick up. I think number one, I would come to my mind is the power of representation. In the film, we weigh heavily on three Black female figures, which, Diana Ross, Pam Grier, and Angela Davis. Angela Davis in the particular moment where she really starts to look at, the civil rights movement in that era, beauty as it pertains to Diana Ross and her actually being a commercially beautiful, just like out there, iconic Black woman. And then also with Pam Grier seeing power and strength and what is represented in the Black in the Black exploitation era, which was obviously another era where, a continuous cycle of seeing Black people being held down and them fighting to be able to find a way to express the truth of who they are, whether through film or whether through, the civil rights. And so I think that's a big thing, is the representation, the power of representation, because when Alice saw those people, they all showed her and made her feel that she could be more. The very thing that she felt inside, they did. And that really helped to usher her personal strength forward. And so I think that's one thing. I think the other thing would be that freedom is of the mind, and that freedom of the mind is something that Alice had even when she was on the plantation. And so when she got the knowledge that she was actually free, and when she realized she was in the 1970s, that was just like at that point, she was like, oh, I'm gone. She was like, I always knew I was free inside, and that I know that this wasn't for me. Now I know this really isn't how I have to live. Oh, I'm gone. And by the way, I'm getting my family too. So I feel like, the concept that freedom is of, really of the mind, and being able to find a way to internally free yourself and exist in a space where you feel that you can be authentic is really like, that's a personal goal that we all can attain if we so choose to seek it. And then I think the third one I would kind of say is that, history repeats itself. And so we have to continuously, pay attention to the past. That doesn't mean we have to be held to the past, but we have to look and see parallels. When we talk about slavery, when we talk about mass incarceration, that's just a marketing difference. That's just changing the marketing from being, hey, these people are enslaved and it's not attractive. This is not a good selling point to international companies and corporations, to now let's make it a prison, because then that makes it seem or feel a little bit better when we do this free labor. So when we are educated on, really the history of things, it just allows us to really have the tools to know how to really attack the systemic racism that is still input. We just, we're able to then say, okay, I'm connecting the dots from this to this and from that to that. And it just empowers us more.
Yes. No, Daniel, thank you so much for that question. Amazing question right there. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next student. We have Mecca Muhammad from Grambling State University. Mecca, come on and ask your question.
Hi, thank you, Kyle, and thank you, Keke, so much for being here. I mean, we have to keep the Virgo family going, sis. I mean, we got to keep it going. We got to keep it going. So my question for you, Keke, so we talked a little about who Alice is and what the film is about, and I want to know, so can you discuss who Alice is not and what is the film not?
Yeah, I think the film is a great question. Alice is not a victim. You know what I mean? I think she really, that was really important for me in the film to showcase that even though she's in these situations that are victimizing, she refuses to relinquish her strength. She refuses to relinquish her idea of who she is, no matter what she's experiencing, what she's going through. Her ability to maintain the divinity within her, I think is so beautiful. And that's what I love so much about the character. And I wanted to play the character with that level of pride, because Alice knows who she is. So Alice is not a victim. Alice is not a, she's just not a stereotype. Again, I think there's so many different versions of perspectives when we talk about Black history, Black American history as it pertains to slavery. There are many different versions. Obviously, we're not a monolith as a people. And so I think that she showcases another side, and a side that I feel very related to, which is resilience. She's resilient. She's not one beat of anything. She's not super, just straight strong. She's not just straight, oh my gosh, I ain't gonna make it. She's just a real person and a real character. She's not one note. She's robust. And then I would say the film is not, again, I said it before, this is not a, oh my gosh, let's see how messed up they're going to do Keke in this movie. Let's see how shocking this version of slavery is going to be. It's just not that. Even down to the way that the relationship or the concept of the master, Master Paul, how he is expressed in the film is not the typical thing that we see, right? We usually see that character in the movie being a straight villain and it's just like so dramatic, but it's like in this movie, it's like he's just the dude that think he really right. You know what I mean? He really believes in the tradition of slavery. And I think it's so important for us, especially in our generation, to understand that really that's how most people that are racist actually think. It's not actually this glaring thing of, it's not actually that. It's actually a system of belief. It's like a belief system, you know what I mean, that is so deeply rooted from the beginning of our country. And so I think that the more that we understand that and don't look for these obvious signs of racism, but actually look for the traditions to dismantle, and kind of teach people the propaganda of what that actually is, the better off we'll be. And so I love the way that Master Paul was displayed in the film, because I think that that's a little bit closer to people that were doing this at that time actually thought. They actually thought that they were doing like God's work. And that means that that's a mental illness. And that means that that's what we have to fight to heal, because that's a mental disorder. You know what I mean? And I think people we need to start thinking about it in that way, as opposed to, something very, kind of charactery.
No, definitely perfectly explained, Keke. Mecca, thank you so much for that question. And Keke, you're absolutely right. Like, it's that movie showing what's happening today, not just back then, it's happening now, just in a different type of lens. But right now, we're going to have Mr. Ro Carter from Howard University ask his question. Ro, go ahead and state your question, man.
What's going on, Keke?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. It's undeniable that Alice is an inspirational character. And I wanted to know, in the spirit of Women's History Month, is there a notable African-American woman that Alice reminds you of, and why?
I would say probably like Harriet Tubman. I think that is the, if I imagine in my mind Alice existing, truly in this time without the whole 1970s moment, I would imagine her to be somebody like Harriet, which is just somebody that believes that they deserve more than what they're receiving, and willing to take the chance and willing to die to live. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Harriet Tubman did. Harriet Tubman actually created a way out of no way. She actually was brave enough to create a system to not only free herself, but to free others. And she did it up until the day that she died. She's a true abolitionist. And so I feel like that's exactly the kind of person that Alice would be. She really believed, and it was not because she thought she was courageous. It was not because she thought she was going to be a part of a movement, but it was just because it was simply just. And so that's the kind of person that I think that Alice is. And I know for a fact that's who Harriet Tubman was.
Yes, Harriet Tubman was there, and I see the similarities of both of them, definitely paving the way for their people, going back to help out their people to freedom. Come on. All right, so we're gonna move on to our next student right now. We have Jalen Spites from Prairie View A&M University. Jalen, Gemini brother, come on down and ask your question.
Hello, I am Jalen.
Oh, really, Gemini brother? You trying to pull that in?
Come on,
Gemini brother, Keke, we are in the house. My name is Jalen Spice. I'm hailing from the illustrious Prairie View A&M University. And my question for you, Keke, so obviously we got to see Alice in the 70s, but how do you think she would fit in present day?
Oh, Alice would be fitting right in, and she wouldn't be taking nobody's mess, honey. I think she would mostly definitely be minding her business and sticking to her family, but she would be doing her work and doing the very best she could to empower the next generation, to remind them to stay faithful and to never let anybody stop them from believing that there can always be greater changes. And I think, this is the thing. I feel like the 70s era is so similar to the era that we're in now, considering the fact that, in the 70s, they had just come off of the 60s where everything was feeling like it was possible, to then being hit again with major, setbacks, and trying to find a way to balance the growth with the feeling of still noticing and acknowledging oppression. And I think that's very much so what the generation, the millennial generation and Gen Z are experiencing, right? Which is the understanding that, when I was 15, 16, or when I was 7 and 8, I seen that our president was Black. And I'm like, yo, times have changed. And then we turned around and 4 brothers was wrongfully killed. Barely anybody was convicted. We had a president that, was telling us pretty much, hey, calling out the KKK. And then we were just like, oh, wait a minute, nothing has changed. So it's that same kind of balance of trying to figure out that, yes, times are hard, but I'm still not going to let it stop me. And if progress has been made, then progress can continue to be made. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Thank you so much, Keke.
Yes.
You all so much, Keke. Thank you so much for joining us for this HBCU Roundtable discussion with the cast of Alice. Keke, we appreciate you so much for coming by and definitely spreading words of wisdom and really diving into what Alice in this film is about. We respect you and give you your flowers because you're an actress, but you really dive deep and you pick roles that really is for the people and really moves the generations above. Happy International Women's Day. You are a great representation of our culture of women. And I just want to give you your flowers right there and then. But you heard it here first.
I also want to say thank you so much, Devin, and thank you so much, Alexandria. I'm sorry that we didn't get to your 2 questions, but I just wanted to give you a shout out and tell you thank you for being here.
That's right. And we thank everybody for being here as well. And make sure you check out Alice in theaters March 18th. So make sure you go ahead and check that out because a movie you not want to miss. Again, I'm Kyle on the mic. Keke Palmer, we appreciate you. This is